off to Japan. So I'm in Japan finally, and I'm tired because it's about 11:30 my time and it's 4:30 in the afternoon here the next day. So heading to customs. Hope they let me through. Anyway, I'm excited. I'll show you what I'm gonna do later. Alright, bye. Welcome to Japan. I've always had a draw to Japan even before. I mean, being a little kid, I wanted to eat sushi and I wanted to be a ninja, and I just love Japanese things. I don't know why. I've always been drawn to Japanese art, just the Japanese aesthetic. So in tattooing, Japan is kind of it's the sacred tattoo place on the planet, because they're the ones that really were the first ones to make it the storytelling of you as the person and make it spiritual and make it really complicated art compared to all the indigenous people that would just do simple markings or branding, so to speak. Japan would tell stories, and that happened hundreds of years before anyone else started. And so now the rest of the world's kind of catching up, not just in simple symbols, but in full storytelling imagery. So all that said, as a tattooer, Japan is the ultimate for me. So I've been drawn to it, always wanted to go, and it took me about 10 years of tattooing before I went. I went being invited to just participate in what was going on at Shige's shop. I mean, I could have just bought a ticket and flown to Japan, but there's something different about being invited. Oh my gosh. Is that a real skull right there? Yeah. Wow. Wow. I made it. Then once I accepted the invitation, he said, if you want, maybe you can tattoo while you're here. I can set up some interviews with magazines. And then I asked if I could get tattooed, and he said no. He said he was too busy and that I was just coming to visit.
Most important thing is the relationship. So then, he really serious? Of course I agree. I don't remember, but I said no, right? But it's a no. I mean, it's no. It's no. It's yes. If you really serious, maybe ask more.
初めて入れ墨に興味を持ったのは、僕の仕事がハレーダビストンのメカニックやってましたので、ちっちゃいバイカーズタトゥーを見る機会がたくさんありまして、そこからこう、もともと僕がメカニックなので、ちっちゃい入れ墨、そういうやっぱりちょっとかっこいいみたいな、やっぱりそういうところから興味を持って始めたのが一番最初。
So when I got there, and I was overwhelmed with the culture and the way everything was. I can't explain how enamored I was with everything. From the furniture, to the way they drove, to the food, the buildings, the way they dressed, everything just completely overwhelmed my senses. And I could not stop filming. I couldn't stop taking pictures of everything. I couldn't stop being amazed. We're in Chinatown in Japan. That's funny to me. That looks like LA. So good. Okay. There's so many Japanese people.
Speak over it. Japan.
We spent a day together just going to gardens and stuff and talking, and I didn't realize it, but he was consulting with me, finding out who I was so he could put it into the tattoo. I thought I was just getting a Hanya mask and bamboo on my back. But he was asking me throughout the day why. And he speaks, at the time, very little English, so I had to say things over and over, and I had to really simplify my words. So very little talking on my part, and a lot of introspection, a lot of amazement. And then that day where he's asking me what I wanted on my back and why, there were these slow conversations where I would say it, and then he would look off and nod and say, okay. And then if I asked him a question, he would always answer, it's difficult to explain. He spent 2 days drawing my back piece. After measuring, taking a template of my back on tracing paper, I'm working, and in the meantime, I'm watching him tattoo his clients. We're tattooing right next to each other in 2 stations in his tiny little studio in Yokohama, and I'm watching these people get tattooed in a brutal way. I know what tattoos feel like when they hurt, but these looked brutal. Like there was more blood than normal. It was just intense. And I was getting more and more terrified. And I'm watching these people stoically endure sessions that I knew I wasn't capable of. I'm scared for tomorrow because I'm gonna get tattooed tomorrow. And I'm very nervous because I can't find my samurai spirit. Tomo, where can I get a samurai spirit? Where? Where do I go get a samurai spirit?
Konbini.
Huh?
7-Eleven.
He said 7-Eleven. Thanks. So as it got closer, he drew up the design and showed it to me, and it wasn't exactly what I expected, and I'm realizing now that this is the first step in surrender, is to be a tattooer and an artist myself and know what I want it to look like, but then to surrender that to someone that's not me, to a different artist with a different mindset and a different approach. And so the way I would have designed it was nothing like the way he designed it. And I tried to steer him at that point. I remember looking at it after he spent 2 days drawing it, and it wasn't what I wanted exactly. And I'm going, well, I kind of wanted it like this or like that. I kind of want it like Tomo's piece. It's bigger and like this. And he looks at me and he says, Tomo's piece was 5 years ago. This is now. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I know what it means now. But that was that first moment of surrender, like, I gotta let him do it how he wants it. And I'm faced with this. I'm standing there in his studio going, am I able to surrender?
Listening was a big lesson for me. When I come here, listening to Jeff, listening to my body, being able to listen to the words in my head, the voices in my head that say, why are you doing this? This pain is real, it hurts, All this effort coming here, all this effort in your mind, in your body, in your life, to get you to this place where then you really have to surrender. You have to get on that table, you have to trust that person, and you have to trust your body and your mind for 8 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. You're constantly in that struggle, in that mindset, in that release.
It's begun to be said about Jeff that he uncovers tattoos that are waiting below the surface. Maybe they've been there your whole life. And he brings them to the fore. For that to happen, to go through a process like that, it's a trust fall. You have to trust yourself that you are the person to go through it. You have to trust that you've found the right person to facilitate it. And ultimately, for it to come to fruition, you have to let go. You have to surrender.
I think my back piece was the first time I was like, yeah, this is surrender. I am learning how to submit to someone else and myself. And that correlated in my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my friends, learning that give and take, learning who I am, also drawing boundaries. I'm this person, this is who I am, and I can handle it. Like, I can handle who I am, and I'm gonna respect you and who you are. I used to be a very controlling person, want things this way, that way, want this person to react this way, and going through this process has taught me to give that up. It's, you surrender that and let it all lay how it may, maybe, I never really understood those things until I started this process.
That moment of surrender has been a huge teacher for me. It's how I get through the pain. It's how I get gifted with this art, because it comes from a collaboration from someone else. I know I will get the best work of art if my artist is invested in it, and I was lucky enough that he is. But none of this would have happened if I wasn't able to let go.
I'm sitting there in my first session going, I just committed to 10 sessions minimum that I don't feel capable of doing. And every single moment of it was way worse than I thought. I'm naked and Shige is getting ready to make a stencil of my back. Got about 3 hours down, and we're gonna take a little break and then do some shading. You know, they talk about fight or flight and wanting to either fight it or make it stop, run away from it. That was every single breath for 9 hours. And when I got done with that first session, I got my left leg, my left ribs, my whole back outlined. I knew at that point that I wasn't able to do it. Inside I'm going, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I can't do it.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
How was tattooing today?
That was nice. Very painful.
Really?
I was there 11 hours total. And I'm still wearing my towel, and I'm trying to tell him thank you for this. And I kept crying, and it was embarrassing. I could not control it. I couldn't control my body. And Japanese people don't cry in public or in front of someone. They go privately to do that. Shige's gonna put a bandage on me and dry my tears. I went home after that trip, and I spent the next 6 months telling myself that I can't do it. Fearing the next session. I'm going, I don't know, I won't be able to do this. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And then the next session, it was the worst session of my life. It only lasted 6.5 hours because I couldn't function. He outlined the back of my hamstring and it came up my ribs for the first 4 hours. And then we took a few minute break, and then he started shading my right ribs, my left ribs. And I couldn't function. Like my body would like convulse. It sounds funny, but I couldn't help but from like kind of grunting. So every time he'd do a pull, I would grunt. I was like, ugh, and just kind of bear down, and I was fighting it so hard. And he finally got so frustrated. It should have been about 8 hour session, and at 6.5 hours, he just said, that's it, we're done. And he stopped and he cleaned up. I could tell he was frustrated, and I'm apologizing. And then he went into his office for a while, probably to like calm down. And I'm just standing there in my robe, in my towel, feeling out of it, feeling weak and feeling really embarrassed, and just going, why can't I do this? I do this to people all day, every day. Then he came in, and he did a photograph, and then he was putting ointment on my back, and it hurt so bad, everything hurt. And all of a sudden, I started feeling woozy, and I'm standing there, and I go, Shige, I gotta sit down. And he's all, patience, be patient. And I said, no, I gotta sit down. And then all of a sudden, the room went black, and I passed out, and I'm naked. I fall down totally naked. He grabs me, and then I come to, and he just puts me onto the table. And he checks my eyes. He's like looking at my eyes. So you stay here, stay here. And he covered me, and all of a sudden, all this compassion that he does not show during tattoo. During tattoo, it's brutal. All of a sudden, all this compassion just came out, and he took care of me, and he laid me down, and I ended up laying there for like 45 minutes. They brought me like little cookies and stuff, and felt so dumb. Well, I had another session scheduled 4 days later on the same trip. So my first session was 6 months in between. Second session and third session are 4 days apart. So we get done, and he says, okay, during your next session, Robert Hernandez from Spain, who's like one of my mentors and heroes in tattooing, he was going to be there for that session. He's going to be tattooing. And Shige looks at me and he goes, when Robert's here, no screaming. And I was just like, I'm all defensive and insecure, and I go, I wasn't screaming, I was grunting, and I didn't mean to. But anyway, it was just one of those things. From then on, for the next 4 days, I full on just told myself, you will do this, you can do this. And I went into this positive affirmation that I didn't know. I was like the only thing I could do because I didn't want to go through that again. And I never made another sound during a any of the rest of my sessions. So that was the only session that I caved. And again, retrospective, I learned things from that. Surrendering to the pain rather than fighting it.
As I'm being tattooed, aside from the other things I think of, I commonly just think I'm gonna just, I kind of joke with myself in the head that I'm just gonna stop and get up. And I do that frequently throughout the day, and it kind of amuses me to keep going because the pain is so terrible sometimes. I'm proud that I can do this. I'm proud that I can endure several days. I wouldn't say I'm a masochist, but it's more or less this is a means to an end, the pain to getting the look.
But I always approach it with kind of an attitude of thankfulness, thankful that I have the means to be here, thankful that Jeff has the time and the interest in taking on my projects. So I think that helps a lot, because when you're just feeling terrible from the pain, or questioning why you're putting yourself through this, you have to remind yourself, it's not every day that I can be in this unique position, so be thankful. And then also I think the determination, kind of the willpower that it has to be done. Once you start on something, you can't really leave it unfinished. At least to me, with tattoos, it's kind of silly. So just trying to arrive at the finishing point. Although these days I feel like with it being near, I'm kind of sad that eventually I'll run out of real estate for Jeff to work on, and then, we could do a second layer or something, but, I do think about that.
After all 12 sessions were done, 3 years later, it was 101 hours total. I logged my hours on my back piece, and then all the other stuff that went in between. The meals that I had there, all the people I tattooed over the 3 years, and all the experiences I had going to temples and going to the gardens. And the shrines are Shinto, which is ancient Japanese belief system of it's the universe, it's all one energy, we're all part of it. We come from it, we're aware of us and it, and then we go back into it in every way, physically, molecularly, all of it. I understand Shintoism on a gut level because it makes sense. You can look at trees and how they cycle. You can look at how a seed becomes a tree that makes seeds that die and then reborn as trees again, and that it comes. And if you could look at that from far enough away in time that you saw it like it's breathing, those trees growing and dying and growing and dying, it would look like the forest is breathing. That's Shintoism to my understanding, And so shrines are just that, When you go to a Shinto shrine, and you look in the doorway, at the back of it is a mirror, a disc, because you're looking at your reflection, and that's what you bow to, So in this one place called Kamakura, there's the Shinto shrine, which is, part of it is these caves that they built, and they're built low, so you have to bow down. You have to stay bowed while you're in it. And we walked in there, and there's a candle burning, and you offer some coins, and you take a candle and you write your name on it, and then you write a prayer. And I'm just going, I don't know how to pray in Buddhist or Shinto or anything. So I wrote my name, and I wrote peace. And it wasn't for anyone else. I just want peace of mind, peace within the struggle that's in me. And I remember putting that on in the thing, and you're supposed to put it in front of these different statues that they grant different things. Someone something might be for creativity or for health or for money or whatever. And since I didn't know, it doesn't matter. Like the universe knows. And it comes down to that intention. So that's where I started learning things like that. Like, it doesn't matter how it's perceived by someone else. It matters what your intention is from you. All these little changes that have happened over the years of going there and getting tattooed and then bringing that back with me and then implementing that into my interaction with my clients and how I tattoo them and letting them struggle through the surrender process.
Jeff meets you in the middle. When he was having his interview and he was talking about when he was Shige, I understood what he was saying. Like, yeah, you see it this way, they see it that way, but to find that person who you can surrender to and trust and say, yeah, they know, they have my best interest. I don't see this whole picture. I don't see the whole thing. My feet, big time surrender for me because we've gone over this 1 foot 3 times and I was like, I gotta let it go. I don't see what Jeff sees, but I trust what he's doing. And that, I think that's a big thing. If you can have a conversation with your artist and you see that they are following you and you're following them, and there's that sense that you understand one another, it's a big deal and very important.
The tattoos are nice, but they're almost like just this byproduct of what I've gained as a result of this relationship with Jeff. You know, coming out here for the past 4 years and getting tattooed 8-9 hours a day. I enjoy that time spent with him. It's a lot of times it's uncomfortable, but we have good conversations. I see him joking with his colleagues. It's a beautiful environment. He's offered to come out to Hong Kong and tattoo me, but there's something for me about making the 12-hour flight over here and then driving down from Portland and getting tattooed in that special room in the back. You know, I've seen photos of it since I first knew of his work, and so I remember the first time I arrived and just finally I'm here. It's just, yeah, that's that, once again, that sense of gratitude, but also maybe kind of fulfillment, contentment that, you know, wow, it's the realization is really happening. I've arrived at where I wanted to be. But I mean, all this was before the actual journey itself, and the journey itself, it's really nothing I expected or hoped for, just surrendering and allowing where it would take me.
In the end, having this tattoo on my back really changed me, and I never look at, I don't look at my tattoo. It's not like I'm gonna get naked and just like stare at it. I just never see it. And I don't like showing people because I don't like getting naked in front of people. So it became something that image that's on me is a relic that was built over time from all these experiences. So it's the reminder of the experiences. And it is the reminder perpetually of what I've learned. To endure something by choice gives you the ability to endure things that you might not have technically chosen. So everything's a choice. Those moments, those revelations or realizations that I didn't know were there, and they have nothing to do with what my back looks like. It all comes from the experience of what I went through to get it. And that's what I like sharing with people, and that's why it's not like I want to make a bunch of money off someone like, oh, you got to get a big tattoo. It's just you don't get those lessons from a little tattoo. It's such a conscious decision and carries such a message that you're deciding to do this, and then it's a permanent message that you're sending anyone that sees you, the world. You're saying, yeah, this is what I decided to do. for whatever my reason was. And then you have to surrender that decision to someone else so that they can be your voice and they can say your thing for you. And then that interaction, it is powerful. Even on a trinket tattoo, even a little thing, it is still that process. But there's something that goes so much deeper when you get into the multiple session, large scale surrendering of your whole body. Yeah, I started off wanting to get a tattoo. And I wanted to be authentic in that I wanted to get a Japanese style tattoo from a Japanese master in Japan. In the end, it just changed my entire life. It changed my career, changed my perspective on life. It changed me spiritually, it changed me psychologically. It transformed me on levels that I can't even put into conversation, but they unfold through other things. I find it coming out in my work. I find it coming out in the music that I listen to, in the way I cook my food at home and put it on the plate, because of all those things that have inspired me, that you can just dump something on a plate or you can place it on a plate and make it look aesthetic, because you deserve to take in something that's beautiful. You can grab a coffee to go and drink it fast as you're like rushing down the street, or you can take 5 minutes and stop and just drink your cup of coffee. And the world's not gonna like fall apart. You know, you don't have to be in that rush. I learned that in Japan. That's when I really found that that's what I feel like I was meant to do. And it's not that I was meant to make big tattoos so people could see what I'm doing, but that I was meant to do that so that people could discover who they were, so that my clients can discover what they're capable of. Partially enduring it, and then the other part is surrendering it. Who would have thought that getting my back tattooed would change my entire life? But it has. I just finished session number 10. And I feel great. And Shige is great. He's a master tattooer. I love my tattoo and I'm so thankful. Otsukare sama deshita. Thank you.